Taylor, and it's the day before Labor Day. So I thought today would be a great day to share with you guys how we fertilize. So one of the main things with it being the day before Labor Day, it's one of the last days you can wear white, for fashion rules. So I made sure that I'm wearing white today, even though that's kind of silly. But there are a few main days that we should be fertilizing our trees here in Arizona, and actually applies to many places throughout the world and country. But the two main days are Labor Day and Memorial Day. A lot of people will say Labor Day, Memorial Day, and Valentine's Day. The reason I am a little bit hesitant to say Valentine's Day is because some of our stone fruit are starting to flower at that time, and putting fertilizer on can put them into shock, and it can actually make you lose a crop that week. It's not going to make you, it's not going to make you lose the tree, but it could make you lose a crop that year. So it's really important that you fertilize the right times of year. So we just had an insanely hot summer, hottest summer on record for the Phoenix Valley. That makes our trees very stressed out and very, very much needing nutrients to try to bounce back and thrive from that summer. In Arizona, we have basically two springs. Our fall is like spring-like weather. Usually it lasts starting in September all the way through November. You have some nice fall-like conditions before you start seeing any kinds of frost. Trees can really recover, so it's important to give them everything they need in order to be successful. So when we talk about fertilizers, you usually see three numbers on bags. Like for this citrus fruit here, you see a 13, 10, and 4. A lot of people don't know what those numbers mean. So they're the N, P, K numbers. So that's I'm going to explain it. So the N is for nitrogen, the P is for phosphates, and the K is for potassium. I know potassium doesn't start with a K, but that's what it's for. You just have to go with me on that. So the higher the number you guys see on the bag for that particular section means the higher concentrate it has of that particular amendment or fertilizer. So those left-brainers out there probably look at this and go, okay, so that's 13% nitrogen, 10% phosphates, and 4% potassium. That doesn't equal 100. That's true. There are other fertilizers and minerals. That's why it's important that you read what is in the bag for everything that you're going to be putting on your plants. So I'm going to talk about a few groups of trees real quick. So the first group's my bigger group that I have in my backyard. It's the citrus group. What falls into the citrus group is avocados and mangoes. So they all take what I like to use is the Arizona Best citrus food. This is found at Home Depot. It's a very common fertilizer that you can find in many sites on throughout the state. It's very, very trustworthy and good. It's been used by commercial farmers for generations. So it's been proven for our climate. It works well here. I recommend using it. So this one, for example, how I would do my information is you look and you see, okay, citrus requires so much nitrogen, citrus requires so much phosphates, and it requires so much potassium. You do your research on each of your trees. You don't just do a blanket, well, I got this food and I'm going to put it on everything. However, you will find that a lot of the different fruit trees that you have can take the different types of, the same types of fertilizers. So for example, like this one, I said it's going to go on my citrus trees and my mangoes and my avocados. I'm going to put a stronger portion on my citrus, a little bit lighter portion on my avocados and mangoes. But I'm also, when I did my stone fruit research, they also require very similar requirements, just not as much. So I'm going to do a diluted amount of this for my stone fruits, my apricots, my peaches, my plums, my cherries, even my jujubes and apples. I'm going to put this type of fertilizer on all of those things. The next group I have is my guavas. They also have the exact same requirements as the citrus, but they also require magnesium. So magnesium is something that I had to do a little research, and I found the langbonite, and it actually contains a good portion of magnesium, so I'll be mixing that in and putting that with them as well. We have several palm trees throughout our yard. Those palm trees took a heavy beating during during this summer. So I actually have some Arizona's Best palm food that I'll be feeding them. So that one is similar to the citrus food, except for it has less nitrogen, a lot less phosphates, and a whole lot more potassium. So I'll be using it there as well. I then got some general all-purpose that I'll be using light doses for everything else basically in my yard. So I did make a mistake one of my first years just putting the citrus fertilizer on literally everything, and it killed my jackfruit seedlings. It killed my all my bananas died. Probably put way too much on. I do recommend that you're very, very careful with seedlings and starter plants, because they do not need to have that much fertilizer at the beginning. It can actually be counterproductive and kill them. The next thing that I'll talk about is feeding. So this is feeding and it's fertilizing. So I have both fish emulsion and seaweed. I guess I put those backwards. So the seaweed right here, the seaweed extract is ground up kelp, and this is basically ground up fish. So these can work good, just helping the microbes and the fungi in your soil develop. It's also really good to be able to put them on your leaves as a foliar feed. But we don't want to stress everything out right now, so I'll show you exactly how we're going to be putting that on the plants later. Okay? Another thing that I literally put on everything I have here is soil sulfur. So I have some Arizona's Best soil sulfur. The bag's outside. I don't want to bring in an open bag inside the kitchen, but we do put that on everything because that will lower the pH of the soil. Right now, Arizona's soil is extremely high in pH. We're around 8. So by lowering the sulfur pH, or lowering the soil pH by putting sulfur on, you actually lower the pH to a level that the plants can actually absorb all the nutrients that you're about to put in. You could throw all kinds of fertilizer down, the right fertilizer, and it will do nothing if the soil pH isn't at the level that the plant needs in order to be able to grab those nutrients in. So probably more important than all these things is making sure that your pH is at the right level, okay? So we'll be going into the backyard. I'll be showing you how I do a simple application of this, and then I'll show you how I apply, it's a fun way to apply the fish emulsion and seaweed. So we'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
Okay, so now we're just going to show you us putting the fertilizer on the trees. So we're going to be using a 20-ounce cup, using about 3 or 4 of these, and we're just going to put it on.
3 or 4 for a mature citrus tree.
Mm-hmm. All the others are probably going to use less.
A lot less. So this is water soluble, so as it rains, this will feed in, so it's a slow release, so this will feed it for a period of time. We'll show you kind of a quick preview on how we do the watering on it, so you can see how it's going to start soaking this in. So be careful if you've got something planted on the understory of one of your trees. They might have different fertilizer requirements. You just have to be careful when you're applying from that. So we'll show you what we mean when we're putting down a lighter dose here in a second. We'll be right back. Alright, so now what we're going to do is show you a smaller dosage. So we've got our stone fruits back here. One of those same size cups is going to cover about 5 trees worth. Just try not to get it on the bark, Jackson. Just go around the root lines. Just kind of spread it like this, Jackson. Really quick, like that. All right, so spreading that 1 cup out as even as we can between all of them, and we'll repeat this process for all of our stone fruits, just really diluting the amount, but still giving them some nutrients. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want to burn them with the fertilizer.
Okay, so now we are going to be using our fish fertilizer.
Fish emulsion and seaweed extract.
Yeah, so this actually will feed to all of our plants, and we are going to... This hose goes to our watering system. Yeah.
So we're going to show you a creative way to do foliar feeding / fish emulsion application. So it stinks really bad, so try not to get it on your hands or you won't be able to come inside for a week.
Yeah.
And it's really hot, so.
Looks like turd.
And it smells like, I
Turd.
wish turd smelled that good, because that stuff smells really good, huh? So we have about 3 sections, so we're gonna put about 1/3 of each of our bottles into that.
Oh, great. Got it.
It's okay, you got a little on you. You're making a video, so don't stop.
Yeah.
All right, so put 1/3 of that. 1/3 of this guy. All right, now plug it into our
Okay.
watering timer. All right, so we're gonna turn it on here in a second. We'll show you what it does.
Okay.
Okay, so we just turned our sprinklers on. It's important that you guys realize anything that these touch, they're gonna have a nice smell to them for the next week or
Yeah,
so.
that's what I thought.
It's gonna bring a lot of flies. So if you guys can see, this is how we water our plants. We create like a rain type setting here. I don't want any of it getting on me. But that pipe is now sending that fish emulsion and the seaweed kelp onto all the plants. So it's getting on the leaves, it's getting in the ground around it to feed the microbes and other beneficial organisms. So all the soil in this area is getting a nice nutrient dense snack right now, including our trampoline.
It's already smelling.
We already smell it. So let's pull the trampoline back. Yeah, so that thing's pretty nasty. We don't want it to coat our trampoline with this awesome smell. So pulled that sucker back, and you guys can see, I mean, it covers every square inch. So all these leaves are getting a nice foliar feed, and at the same time everything's getting wet. All the little tablets that we've put throughout the yard of our fertilizer, they're water soluble, so as the sprinkler rain hits them, they'll start to dissolve and they'll start to feed our plants. So that is fertilizing and foliar feeding the fun way. Man, it already stinks bad.
Yeah. It smells like when you go deep sea fishing and there's fish that have already been
It
like
smells like an outhouse to me,
up.
but it doesn't last long, and it really gives your trees the nutrients they need. It soaks into the ground really well. So the chickens gotta love the smell, but luckily they're not getting sprayed at all right now. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys liked our video.
Like and subscribe.
Hopefully it was helpful. Please subscribe, and we'll continue to bring you good content like this in the future. We had walked around, in case you guys didn't realize it, and we did fertilize everything. We didn't just turn this on. We fertilized everything before we turned on the foliar feed. So right now I just have it on a 30-minute soak. I usually do this at nighttime when the sun's down, puts less stress on the plants, gives it more time to absorb into the ground so that the water doesn't go to waste. But all right, thanks everybody. Bye.
See you next time.